Hi, my name is Fiona. I'm from sustainabilityguide.co.uk. I'm a sustainability professional that's passionate about the environment and leading a sustainable life. I have a website which you can find all sorts of information on sustainability and the kind of things you can do to help you lead a better, more sustainable life. Today I'm going to talk to you about the benefits of becoming sustainable and how to become sustainable without it costing the earth in terms of the planet and your pocket. Firstly, the benefits. There are all sorts of benefits, but firstly it benefits the planet. There's less pollution, less waste, happier wildlife, happier planet, and it just makes the whole place a nicer world to be in. Not to mention you're helping reduce the impacts of climate change, which has become a really hot topic at the moment because everyone's starting to realise the impacts we're having on our planet. But not only does it have benefits to our planet, it has benefits to you. There are all sorts of health and well-being benefits just from leading a sustainable life. You can be healthier because you have a healthier diet. You can save money because you should be using less, you should be buying less, so it should be saving you money. It should also be giving you more, you should be more in touch with nature, so you'll be getting outside more, being more in touch with wildlife, and it's all good for you, just being outside in the wildlife, looking after your planet. It feels like you're making a difference. So that bottle you put in the recycling, it does make a difference, and you should feel like it should make a difference. Every little bit counts. And there's that feel-good factor of recycling, or even just doing something good for your planet. You just think, yes, I've done that, and I think, yes, that's not going in the bin, or yes, that's sort of reduced my carbon footprint. It's a real feel-good factor. It can get overwhelming, but we don't need we don't need a handful of people doing it perfectly. We need everyone, millions of people doing it imperfectly to make a difference. Sustainability can get overwhelming. There is a lot out there. There is a lot of greenwashing. There's a lot of sort of new and green products coming out. You think, okay, which one do I choose? What do I do? Which one's going to make an impact? And you can sort of get bogged down by the details. So it can get a bit overwhelming. But I'm here today to help you find out where best to start or even continue your sustainability journey. There's so much I can tell you about, but I've tried to condense it down to the ones that are most impactful, the ones that cost the least, and the ones that can make you feel good. So yeah, let's check it out. But what you've got to remember with sustainability, it's a journey, it's a process, it's not overnight. So you do things bit by bit, and it's got to work for you. There's no point committing yourself to walking to work if that's going to take you 3 hours every day. That's just not going to work for anyone. There's no point using a shampoo bar that just doesn't work for you, makes your hair dull or itchy scalp or something. It's got to work for you, and you've got to do bit by bit. Maybe just think about doing like one swap or one sustainable action a month, or maybe a room at a time. Take it little bits at a time. If you start taking everything all at once, it gets a bit overwhelming, it gets too much. If you start introducing little bits at a time, it's much easier to introduce into your lifestyle. And sustainability is a bit about trial and error. Don't get put off for the first time if you try something new and think, well, that didn't go very well, or that doesn't work for me. Just trial and error. So say if you tried a new cleaning product, you think, not sure that worked for me. Maybe try another one, or get some recommendations. And share your journeys with other people. Create a little community vibe about it. It's great for your well-being. And maybe looking at where in your house, when something breaks, as a rule, replace it with something more efficient. So if your light bulb breaks and you've still got incandescent light bulbs, the old ones, maybe you think, can I replace that with an LED light bulb? Or if your dishwasher goes and you can't repair it, maybe think, can I replace that with a more efficient appliance? So instead of buying all these different appliances up front and there's perfectly good life in them, replace them when the life has gone from them. And it makes it a lot easier because you're just doing it on a piecemeal process rather than going, what, I want to make my life sustainable, I'm going to change all these things. Because that in itself is not sustainable, because those things may still have life in them, and you don't want to replace something you can still use. Sustainability is about using less, wasting less, and buying less. So they're my tips on making it a bit easier. I hope they help. Next, I'm going to take you through my top 10 easy and budget-friendly sustainable actions, ones that make an impact. The first thing is use less, waste less, buy less. You use less. You think about everything you do in your life. You just think about, how can I use it less? I mean, like your toilet paper. Can I use one less sheet of toilet paper? Detergent. Can I put less detergent in the drawer? Can I turn down my thermostat? Maybe try a bit of a jumper. Can I switch things off? I mean, do I have too much on? I mean, if you're looking at switching off, maybe have a look at, there's the remote sockets. You can get like remote controlled sockets. So if you plug everything to a remote controlled socket, so you can just go click, everything turns off. That's a great little tip. If you're looking at wasting less, you know, if you think about your life, think about, how can I waste less? How can I get more out of the things I've already got? How can I use my items more? An example would be, say, if you've got an old pair of trousers, right? You get a hole in them. Instead of throwing away, repair them, okay? Once you've repaired them so many times, you know, I've got the life out of this pair of trousers. Maybe think about making them into rags so you can use your cleaning with them. So, you know, thinking about getting more out of your items. Maybe you've got toothbrushes. Toothbrush is a great item. So if you've got a bamboo toothbrush, first of all, you spend how many months cleaning your teeth with this toothbrush, and it's like, okay, I don't use the toothbrush anymore, I need a new toothbrush. But before you chuck it away, it can be used for cleaning. It can be used for cleaning anything, your shoes, your sinks, things like that. And once you've finished cleaning it, you can take the bristles off and it becomes a plant marker. That's another thing it can become. And then once it got to the end of its life, you can go and compost it in your compost bin. So that's an example of how you can get more out of things. And then buying less. Because you're using less and wasting less, you need less. But when you do look at buying things, you buy more reusable items instead of disposable items, so you're not buying so many bits and pieces all the time. You're not constantly purchasing disposable anything. You've got one item, you reuse it. When you're buying things, you look at buying better quality items. Sometimes it's maybe more expensive up front, but over the long run it can be a lot cheaper. But be careful with that one, you know, choose your items wisely. And also buying in bulk. Buying in bulk's a lot cheaper and you've got less stuff. I mean, if you buy like your soap in bulk, you've got a lot less packaging and it can be a lot cheaper. The next thing would be looking at a renewable energy tariff. Renewable energy. If you go for a renewable energy tariff, make sure it's 100% renewable energy. Some of them have very little in there. If you look at the fine print, it can be as low as 10%. So if you look at getting a renewable energy tariff, which means that if it's 100%, it means that all of the energy that you use in your house will be created by some sort of renewable energy source on the other side of the grid. I mean, don't get me wrong, everything coming in from the grid is exactly the same here as it is to where you live, but it just means that you're financing renewable energy technology, and the energy you use is created in equivalent renewable energies somewhere else on the grid. This normally only works for electricity. There's very few green renewable energy tariffs for gas. This is mainly for electricity, but it's a great start. Places that do 100% tariffs at the moment are Good Energy and Ecotricity, so they're good places to look at. But there's a few others out there that do the same sort of thing, so just have a quick rummage around, and it's all about the tariff. It's all about looking at 100% renewable energy in your tariff. Some places often have like an offsetting thing for your gas, because gas is a lot harder to come by and can be more expensive. So that's another added bonus you can have on there for like an offset for your gas use. Before you go ahead and change your renewable energy tariff, if you're with E.ON or EDF and are eligible, you can get free installation for your house if your house is a certain age and certain condition. So have a double check with them if you're with those guys. Also, when you're looking at your energy, see if you can sign up for the free smart meters. It's great to keep an eye on your energy consumption, and it helps the grid become more carbon neutral, because they're able to adjust and predict our energy consumption as a whole. So smart meters are good and they're free. The next thing would be make sure you recycle. Recycling is great. It means you're keeping the resources in the system. It's not being sent to landfill or incineration where the resources just disappear. It means it can be used again and again. There are tips on recycling. I mean, most of you are probably recycling already, but if you're not, please recycle. If you are and you're not sure about some items, I'd familiar yourself with your local authority's website. There's often like a list of things and guidelines on what you can and cannot recycle in your area. So make yourself familiar with that list. The next tip would be to wash and squash. So wash your items, make sure any big food residues are taken off. I mean, it's okay if there's a little bit of greasy stain or anything like that, that's alright. It's just the big chunky items, I don't really want that in the system because that just contaminates everything. And if you squash your items, it means you can get more in your recycling bin, so it stops it going whoop and overflowing. The next tip would be to keep your lids on and film off. So anything with a lid, keep it on. So if it's got a glass jar, keep the lid on. If it's got a plastic bottle, keep the lid on. Squash it first, but keep the lid on. Even things like your wine bottles with the screw top lids, keep those on. It means they're more easily recycled within the system. And film off. The film doesn't really get recycled very well. It tends to get tangled up in the system if it doesn't get taken out before then. So just keep the film off. It's a lot harder for the recycling machinery to recycle and can cause the machinery some issues. The next tip would be plastic bags. They don't generally go in your waste recycling bin on the curbside. These, for the same reason as film, tend to get caught up in the machinery. So with the plastic bags, take them to your supermarkets. They normally have like a big thing outside the front of the supermarket. You can pop all your plastic bags in. But plastic bags don't just refer to the ones you get from the supermarket. They also refer to things like your bread bags, some fruit bags, and they can all be put in that bin. And the final tip in terms of recycling is no wish cycling. Please don't wish cycle. Not only can it damage the machinery, but it can also contaminate the load and then cause that recycling to be rejected. Things that often wish cycled are things like saucepans or metal trays or big plastic boxes. The curbside recycling is generally for packaging, sort of packaging that can easily be crushed and squished. So if you're trying to put in like a big saucepan or your old cutlery or something, that's just going to damage the machinery in the recycling plant. So it's best just to take things like that to your household waste recycling facility. The same with big plastic boxes, the big plastic like storage boxes. You can't recycle those at your curbside, but you can take them to the household waste recycling facility. The household waste recycling facility is amazing. It can take all sorts of things. So if you can't put it in your recycling bin, check there, see if you can put it in there. There are some things you may or may not know you can and cannot recycle. I don't know if you'll know, but deodorant cans, aerosol cans, if you've used them all up, are generally recyclable. But double check with your local authority first before you pop them in the bin. Things you definitely can't recycle are polystyrene. So like the big sort of polystyrene foamy bits you get with like your big appliances or your new TV or something, don't put those in there. And biodegradable plastics, they do not belong in your recycling. They will get rejected at some point in the recycling process, so don't put them in there. So they can't be disposed of in your recycling bin. And when it comes to things like wrapping paper, depends on whether it's got plastic in it or not. You can do a scrunch test. If you scrunch the wrapping paper up and it doesn't come out of its ball, it stays scrunched up, then you can recycle it. If it does come out of its ball and it starts unfolding, it means it's normally got plastic in it and it will not be recycled at the recycling facility. It will probably be rejected somewhere. So there's some hints and tips on recycling. My next tip would be to compost. Any biodegradable element, making it into your general waste bin, such as your food waste, your garden waste, your paper, your cardboard. If any of this makes it into your general waste bin, and your general waste bin is put into landfill, then something called methane is created. Methane is 30 times more powerful than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. I mean, we hear about carbon dioxide, but methane is a lot worse. So it's really important we do not put those biodegradable elements in our general waste bin. So if you have a food waste collection service, please use it. It's an amazing service. It generally comes around weekly. It depends on where you are in the country, but often it's most often weekly because it's being food waste. But you can put in all sorts in there. You can put your cooked, you can put in your dairy, you can put in your meat, you can put in your raw, you can put in like eggs, you can put in all your peelings, any leftovers, everything sort of food waste related can go in your food waste bin, and your council can collect it for you if that's something they offer. So please use your food waste service if you have one, because it is great for the environment. and it gives you a nice feel good buzz as well, because like you're not creating that methane if you put it in your general waste bin. And garden waste, please don't put that in your general waste bin either. If you've got a garden waste service, please use it. If you've got a garden waste service, it means your council comes around, collects it, and then goes and composts it for you. If you have neither food waste or garden waste, or if your garden waste is being charged, then you can use a compost bin. You can have a compost bin at home. Compost bins are great. They generally look like a big plastic thing. It's like a big plastic tub, as it were, with a lid on top. Often they're quite affectionately called as Daleks, because it does look a bit like a Dalek, especially if you put a plunger on the front. So get one of those. Sometimes they're subsidised by your local authority. If you have a look, sometimes they offer that. I'd double check that if you're interested. But it's great. It means you can pop in all your food, well, most of your food waste. You can't put in everything in a cold compost bin. You can put in your peelings, you can put in your garden waste, you can put in raw uncooked food, but not meat. You can't put meat in there, and you can't put fish in there or dairy, but you can put in things like your peelings and things like that. And you can put in your garden waste, so it's good if you've got a lot of garden waste, like your grass cuttings, or if you've got prunings and trimmings, that kind of thing can go in there. And with cold composting, it's all about layers. It's all about layering up your greens and your browns. Your browns would be things like cardboard and shredded paper and like junk mail and stuff like that, and your greens would be more like your grass cuttings, your potato peelings and things like that. So if you sort of layer it up, and every now and again give it a good stir, and then in about a year and a half time, you'll get compost at the bottom. Free compost made by you at home. So if you're a green gardener and like getting out in the garden and planting those things, you get your free compost, and you're doing your bit for the environment. If you do want to compost things like cooked food and meat and dairy and things like that, I recommend looking into bokashi, which can be used with your cold compost bin, and I recommend looking into hot composting. Hot composting doesn't generally give you the compost at the bottom, but it allows you to compost other things that the cold compost bin wouldn't, because of the temperature the hot compost bin gets up to. So composting is great, and if you can use your food waste service, use that if you've got one. And again, with your garden waste service, you can use that if you've got one as well. That's great too. But do whatever works for you. On a secondary note, with your garden waste, if you haven't got a garden waste bin and you don't really have enough room for a compost bin, or there isn't really much need for one or something like that, you can take your garden waste to the household waste recycling facilities. So just bear that in mind if you need to. That service is generally there. The next top tip would be reduce your car use. COVID has helped in terms of making us realise how many journeys and how often we leave the house. When you can't leave the house, you sort of realise how often you do. So it has kind of brought to the forefront that people don't need their car as much. So maybe can you reduce your car use to the point where you don't need one? Do you need more than one car per household? Can you share your journey? Can you share your journey to work? Can you share your journey to the shops? Can you shop with a friend? Just maybe be more mindful about your car use. Can you use other forms of transports? Are there electric scooters in your area maybe you can borrow or use, or maybe some little bikes you can borrow or use? Maybe think about using cycling instead of using your car, or maybe walking to a particular place. Maybe like having like a day where you walk everywhere instead of using the car. It's great because it means you're more mindful, you're slower in your day, gets you out in the environment, gets you walking, gets you exercising. It's all good. So yeah, think about reducing your car use. So that's a great top tip. Top tip number 6 would be to buy second-hand or recycled, and sell your stuff. If you've got loads of stuff you don't use anymore, sell it so you can get second life out of it. And if you're thinking about you need a new bit of furniture or need a new item, it's great for kids' toys, great for big bits of furniture. Have a look, see what's out there. Great places are Facebook Marketplace and eBay and charity shops. They're amazing, especially with things like clothes and furniture. Going to a charity shop is brilliant because you can have a look round, you can see those items that people no longer want, but you might want. You might find a little gem in there. It's great. It's like a little treasure hunt. So you have a look in there, but not only if you buy something from there, you're supporting a charity, you're making sure something doesn't go to landfill, and you're giving another item a second use, which is amazing. It means something else hasn't been created in its place. So yeah, buying secondhand, buying recycled, it's great. In terms of buying recycling, if you're looking at new products, see if they've got recycled content, or if the packaging's got recycled content, depending what you're looking at. To be mindful about what you're buying. Do you need the item in the first place? So yeah, and it gives you like a little buzz, helping out a charity, or like thinking, yeah, I got a second-hand item, or you think, yes, I've given it a new lease of life. So yeah, second-hand and recycled, it's great. Give it a go. Top tip number 7 would be to eat less meat. The meat industry, just the rearing of animals, creates a lot of carbon dioxide. So if we can reduce our consumption, it can greatly help the environment. Not only eating less meat is great for the environment, it's great for you, it improves your health and well-being, including more veggies in your diet. You might experiment with veggies a bit more if you're eating less meat. Maybe you try like a meat-free Monday or something, just to slowly introduce you if you're eating a lot of meat already. Maybe just sort of starting like one day a week, maybe trying out a new different type of meal, new ways of cooking, new ways of learning how to cook, different ingredients you wouldn't necessarily have used before, maybe like dabble with some lentils or something, or chickpeas, or some sort of other different types of food you may not have tried yet. So yeah, eat less meat. It makes you healthier, it means you're better for the environment, it means you start experimenting with things a bit more, maybe eating more vegetables, trying different ways of cooking and eating. It's great fun. I mean, share your stories with everyone else, swap your meat-free recipes, and create like a little community out of it. The next thing will be to learn new skills. Learn how to make things, learn how to repair things. Can you make your own green cleaners? Can you learn how to repair your trousers? Can you learn how to repair your dishwasher, your washing machine, your Hoover? Can you learn how to fix things? Learning new things is great for people's well-being. It's good for confidence. It builds your confidence when you start learning something new. You think, oh, I can do this. And then you just think it's great. You can start fixing and mending things instead of buying new things. Top tip number 9 would be to plan your meals. Food waste counts. There's a large amount of food waste in the UK. It's ridiculous. So to help you reduce your food waste, I recommend planning your meals. So all it takes is at the beginning of the week just to plan, what you're going to have, what you're going to eat. And then you can create a shopping list so you only buy what you need, as opposed to I'm not quite sure what to eat, I'm going to go around the shop tonight, pick up something, or pick up a ready meal or something, because it's short on time, you don't know what you're going to make, and you say, oh, what am I going to make? It just takes the effort out of planning your food, and not only that, it means you'll eat healthier because you're planning your food more, so you're less likely to go for those quick and easy like takeouts or snacks or something. You've actually planned yourself decent meals. So not only have you planned yourself decent healthy meals, you reduced your food waste because you're buying just what you need instead of purchasing items you don't necessarily need, or purchasing something on a whim. So yeah, planning your meals is great. And if you go one step further, what I do is create a 4-week plan and then just cycle through the 4 weeks. So instead of having to plan different meals every week, you've got like 4 weeks worth of planning. It takes a bit to start with, but you can get 4 weeks worth of planning and then just go through the 4 weeks and then just start again at 4 weeks. And then if you have a summer winter menu, that works really well. But that can take a bit more effort. But yeah, it's a good tip if you can get it going. It takes the effort out of meal planning. Along with meal planning, I can't recommend enough bulk cooking. Cooking in your home uses a lot of energy. So if you can make all your meals at once and put them in the freezer, and then take them out and then put them in the microwave to cook, that uses a lot less energy because you're cooking everything at once. You're creating your own little meals and put them in the freezer, and then when you need them, you can pop them in the microwave, which uses a lot less energy than the oven. So that is one way to reduce a lot of energy consumption in your house, is by cooking everything up front, stick it in the freezer, and then or the fridge if you're going to eat it in the near future, and then pop it in the microwave because it uses a lot less energy than your oven, but make sure it's defrosted before you put it in your microwave. The next tip would be to plant a tree or wildlife area. Trees are great. They're great for the environment. They're great for well-being. They just feel good being near a tree. I mean, who doesn't want to hug a tree? So trees are great for the environment in the fact that it takes out the carbon dioxide. So things that are gone in, so the carbon dioxide we produce can be taken out from by the tree. So planting a tree is great. Planting a wildlife garden or wildlife area is good. Just letting the weeds grow. It's great for the bees. Great for the planet. And it feels good gardening. Gardening's great. So yeah, plant a tree. That's definitely good, because that's probably the most carbon positive thing you could probably do. So that's probably number 10 on my top 10. So yeah, I hope you find that useful. Next up, easy swaps. The first thing I can recommend is recycled loo roll. It's loo roll made from recycled paper. It uses a lot less water in processing, and it doesn't use new trees. And you're going to be wiping your bum on it anyway, so might as well make it green. The next step after loo roll would be looking at using cloths and napkins instead of paper towels. It's quite an easy swap. You invest in a selection of cloths and napkins, or if you want, you can make your own. If you've got some old clothes with holes in, if you've got old towels with holes in, make your own, cut out squares, put a hem around it, you've got your own free cloths and napkins. And then whenever you need, if you're going to use your paper towel, instead of grabbing a paper towel, you grab a cloth. It's as simple as that. You grab a cloth, you wipe your spill or whatever you're using it for, and then you pop it in your washing machine. Get it washed, get it dried, pop it back where you're storing them, and then you're good to go again. No need for paper towels. Another tip is if you've got J cloths or like cloths that you use for washing dishes, don't throw them away, put them in the washing machine, you can reuse them. Same with sponges, washing machine, you can reuse them. Next swap would be looking at using a metal razor instead of a plastic razor. They do cost a lot more up front, but over the course of a lifetime of the amount of plastic razors you go through versus the cost of the blades for the metal razor, it is a lot cheaper. And you can recycle those blades and the plastic bit with Gillette. Gillette, if you go onto their website, they have a recycling program, so they'll send you an envelope and you can put in your plastic razors. So the ones you've finished using, you've got to use them up first. Don't just chuck them away if they're still not used. You've got to use them first. And then when you've got your metal razor, you can get your blades and then you can put them in the envelope as well. Send them off to Gillette and they get them recycled for you. And they do it for free, so win-win. After metal razors, the next swap I'll be looking at is things like your shampoo and your soap. Things like that. You look at trying to get bar forms, so you get like bars of soap, bars of shampoo. These do tend to last longer, and they're a lot cheaper too. And they come with a lot less packaging, so they're a great win as well. It does take a bit of a while to find a shampoo bar that works. I mean, it's a bit trial and error, but feel free to have a look around, try some, investigate them, ask for recommendations from other people, and give them a go. With the soap, if you're not a big fan of like the sort of soap sitting on the side where it gets a bit organgy, you can get like metal magnetic soap holders. I recommend them. They're very good because it means the soap dries out in between times. It's not like there's the gunk at the bottom, so they're good. And also when you're looking at things like soap or shampoo, I mean, if you haven't found one that works for you yet, maybe look at bulk buy. If you really can't get on with the soap bars, have a look bulk buying your liquid form, or even making your own. The next sort of easy swap would be to line dry instead of tumble dry. If the tumble dryer uses so much energy, so if you can put your washer on the line, great, do it. Try line drying instead. Much better for the environment. The next easy swap would be to use cold water instead of hot. If you automatically go for the hot water to wash your hands, or wash something, or do something with the hot water, can you replace it with the cold water? Is it something you could do? Hot water uses so much more energy than cold water. My next easy swap would be to swap from having baths to having showers. I mean, that's if you've got a shower in your house. And if you're already having showers, then see if you can reduce the amount of time you're spending in the shower. Water is a precious resource, so we need to conserve water as much as we do any other resource. Only 1% of the world's water is actually suitable for human consumption. The rest of it's either salt water in the sea or trapped in ice sheets. So that gives you an idea of how important it is we conserve our water. And on top of that, it takes a lot of energy to treat and to make water usable within our homes. My next easy swap will be to use a water butt instead of a hose, which is much better for the plants because the water is a lot more nutritious. The stuff in the hose is the same stuff that comes through your kitchen tap. So that water's been treated and it's perfectly drinkable for humans. But plants don't need that. Plants are happier with rainwater. So if you can put in a water butt, or if you've got a water butt already, that's great. They do cost a little bit, but they're fairly easy to install. You basically attach it to your downpipe on your house, and then it just fills it up when it rains. So it's quick and simple and easy, and then you can just go around watering your plants. You can also reuse water from the house. So if you finish cooking your veggies, you got your old cooking water, don't put it down the sink, put it on your garden. It's great for the garden. There's some extra nutrients in there that have come out from your veggies. So yeah, great, and it's a reuse of the water. It's not going straight down the drain. So yeah, another good tip. And the last sort of easy swap would be to look at using reusable over disposable. If you've got a lot of disposable, if you're choosing a lot of disposable items, see if you can swap that for a usable item. So going back to my example earlier about cloths and napkins, having a cloth and a napkin instead of a paper towel, you can use your cloths and napkins over and over again. You'll never have to buy paper towels ever again. So if you choose reusable products over disposable products, over the life cycle, it's generally better. Next, I'm going to talk to you about sustainability at work. It's a bit harder than sustainability at home because you have less control. However, there's still a lot of things you can do. The first thing I can recommend is to get a packed lunch. Take a packed lunch to work. These are cheaper because you're not going to the shop all the time. They're healthier because you can decide what you put into your sandwiches. Not to mention you're not tempted by the extra donut. And it uses a lot less packaging. You don't need special equipment for it. You can, if you've got a lunchbox at home, use that. If you've got Tupperware, you could use that instead, or a takeaway box, or a margarine tub. Don't forget to wash those out. And then you can reuse these over and over and over again. There's no need to wrap sandwiches. You don't need to wrap them in cling film, or no need for aluminium foil, no need for sandwich bags, no need for those beeswax wraps. Just keep them in the tub, keeps them nice and fresh. The other benefit of a packed lunch means you can bring in your leftovers, though you might not want to use your margarine tub for that one. You might want something a bit sturdier. The next thing I can recommend is to bring in a glass or a water bottle to fill up with water at the water cooler. So instead of using those tiny little plastic cups you find down the side of the water cooler, you use your glass or water bottle. Not only are these bigger than the plastic cups, which means you'll drink a lot more, so that's healthier for you, you're not using the plastic cups, which is great for the environment. The next thing I can suggest is bring in a mug. If you're used to going down to the cafe or going down to a shop and getting one of those little paper cups with your coffee or tea in, find out if the shop or cafe can fill up your own mug. If they can, great, take it down and you can fill up your mug, and it means you're not using those tiny little disposable cups. The next thing I can recommend is to look at your travel to work. I mean, are there any ways to minimise it? I mean, not everyone has the ability to do that. I mean, it depends on the kind of job you do. But I mean, maybe just have a look. I mean, is there a way to minimise the amount of travel you do to work? If you can't do that, maybe have a look at walking to work. If you're close enough to walk to work within a reasonable time, have a look at it. Is it possible is it something you could do? Or do you work on reasonable hours? Maybe it's something you can't do. But walking's great. It means you can get outside, you get into nature. It means you slow down a bit more instead of being on autopilot when you get in the car. Another thing you can look at is cycling to work. Some places have a cycle to work scheme. Check your employer to see if that's something they offer, which will help you with the cost of a bike. Another thing you could look at maybe is public transport. Is that something that's viable for you? It's great to meeting new people on your journeys to work. You can end up making good friends because they all do the same journeys with you. And if not, maybe look at car sharing. It's great. Car sharing is great. It means you can not only share the cost of the travel, you can reduce your fuel per person. So instead of two of you going individual cars, there's just one car going with both of you in it. And it's really lovely to share your journey to work with a friend. The amount of friends I've made car sharing has been amazing. It's an amazing thing. The next thing I can recommend is paperless working. See if you can challenge yourself in the office to reduce the amount of paper you're using, reduce the amount of paper you're printing. See if there are any electronic solutions that are already out there that your organisation is already using to help you reduce it. If you have to use the printer, see if you can get it changed so it's black and white. It uses a lot less resources if it's black and white, and if you can use it double-sided, so instead of the one-sided piece of paper, you're using both. Sometimes on the printer that's called duplex, and sometimes you can get it set up as default. See if you can get that sorted out, but depends on your organisation as to whether that's possible. The next thing I can recommend is to recycle. If you've got recycling facilities in your organisation, please use them. Recycling is a great thing to be doing and encouraging others to do. If there isn't any recycling facilities, maybe see if you can get some set up. The next thing I can recommend is to switch off. I mean, we could all do with switching off every now and again, but I'm specifically talking about your electronic equipment. So your computers, your monitors, your lights, your photocopiers, your printers. See if you can switch them off. Are they needed at that point in time in the day? Maybe find out if they've got any energy saving functions, see if you can get them enabled. Maybe at the end of the day have a little checklist, have I checked that my monitor switched off, have I checked my computer switched off, if I'm the last one out of the office, have I checked my lights are off. Even just simple things like that can help improve the sustainability of your workplace and of your life. The next thing would be to start conversations at work about sustainability. Get it talked about more in the workplace. The more it's talked about, the more it's seen as a value within the workplace. See if you can sort of swap your meat-free recipes or sustainability tips, or suggest or share your sustainability journey. Have a notice board where you can put up like sustainability topics and items. Encourage others to be sustainable. The more you talk about it, the more you share about it, the more it becomes a part of your organisation and the bigger impact you'll have. So yeah, keep talking about sustainability. There are other things you can do at work to become more sustainable. If there's an option between hand dryers and paper towels, choose the hand dryer. Use the stairs instead of the lift. See if you can create like a giveaway zone. So if your department's got bits and pieces it doesn't need, see if you can put it in a place where other departments can come and collect it. If you're responsible for buying stuff within your organisation, maybe look at things that are recycled or more recyclable, or maybe look at things that are more local and see if you can support more local services and organisations. Maybe look at seeing if you can choose more sustainable choices when you're purchasing stuff. There's many things you can do at work. Well, I hope you found that useful. Remember, becoming sustainable is a journey. It's not an overnight process. It's got to work for you, and try doing it bit by bit. Don't try and take everything on at once. It might get a bit overwhelming. You end up thinking, oh, I can't do it, this is too much. Just do it bit by bit. Pick an action, pick a swap, maybe change one thing a month or something, or maybe take it a room at a time. Just sort of break it down into little chunks. With sustainable, less is more. Use less, waste less, buy less, and learn how to repair things, make the most use of them, most efficient use of them. Use them until they're completely used up. Don't just chuck it in the bin. See if you can use more of it, and give items a second chance. Give them to charity shops. Make another use for them, like changing your top into a cloth. Once you finish using it as a top. And don't forget, it's trial and error. Some things that work for you might not work for someone else, and vice versa. And don't forget to swap your stories, share your stories, get involved. It's good for everyone just to sort of share things and swap stories. So yeah, I hope that you found all that useful. I hope that improves your health and well-being. And yeah, if you ever need some advice, check out my website at sustainabilityguide.co.uk. My name's Fiona, and good luck on your sustainability journey.